So in this video, we're going to be talking about how to find the area of circles. So if you open up, the inside of your notes, you can see that there's a circle here with some parts that we need to label. So it says recall the parts of the circle. So this part right here is pointing to this dot in the middle. That's called the center of the circle. All right, this arrow is pointing to this line that goes all the way across the circle. This would be the diameter, or D, which is the distance across the circle that passes through the center. All right, if you just have half of that distance there, then that's called the radius. So all the way across is the diameter, halfway across is called the radius, or R, and it's the distance from the center. All right, and then if you want to go all the way around the circle, it's like the perimeter of the circle. That's called the circumference. Circles have a special name for that. And that would be known with a capital C. All right, so we've already talked about area in an earlier stop. We learned that area is just the number of square units it takes to cover a surface. So counting square units and on a circular surface can be challenging. So there's a couple of examples here. If we wanted to estimate the circle by counting the squares, well, we could try that. So it looks like we've got some full squares inside here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I got 16 full squares, and then I've got some partial squares. So that's mostly 1. So 17, 18, 19, 20. Then I have a little part. Maybe that's a whole one. 21, 22, maybe 23, 24. So maybe since that's not quite a full square and that's not either, maybe if I add this together, I don't know. So I'm going to estimate that this would be about 26, okay, or 26 square units, because again, we're measuring in square and how many squares it takes to fill something up. All right, so this is a larger circle. It's going to have obviously more squares, so this can be a little tougher to estimate, but again, I could count maybe most of the full squares and then do some partial squares. I could put those together and try to figure out what the area is. But you can see that's going to take me a long time to figure out. So there's got to be a faster way to do this. Unfortunately, there's a formula that can be used to find the area of the circle. So I'm going to skip over this just because I don't think you need to listen to me count. So let's just go straight to the formula. It says the area of a circle equals the product of pi. You've seen pi before when we talked about circumference, and the square of its radius. So the area formula is going to look like this. A equals pi r squared with an exponent of 2. And then let's figure out how to use this. All right, so if I want to find the area of a circle, I'm going to use 3.14 for pi. I can see the circle. There's a picture of it right here. So I know the formula is this, pi r squared. If I substitute 3.14 for pi, then what I need to know next is the radius. So right here, remember radius is the distance to the outside from the center. So this is the radius right here. So I need to square 5 and then multiply by 3.14. So when I square something, that means times itself twice. So 5 times 5 would be 25. I'm really going to be multiplying 3.14 times 25. So 5 times 4 is 20, carry your 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. 5 times 3 is 15. Start with a 0. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Add them up. 0, 15, carry your 1, 8, and 7. There are 2 decimal places in my problem, so 2 in my answer. And so that gives me a total of 78.5. I can drop that last 0. And then, again, this is in square centimeters because of what I'm looking for, which is area. So this is 78.5 square centimeters. All right, so look at the examples below that. I'm again going to be applying the same formula when I'm finding area. So A equals pi r squared. Sorry, you can't see that. So 3.14 is what I'm going to use for pi. The radius is halfway across, so this is 7. I just need to square that. 7 squared means 7 times 7, which is 49. So I need to multiply 3.14 times 49. So 9 times 4 is 36. Carry your 3. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 3 is 12. Carry your 1. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28. So Start with a 0. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry your 1. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. 4 times 3 is 12. Add these up. I get 6, 8, 13. Carry your 1, 5, and 1. So there are 2 decimal places in my problem. There should be 2 in my answer. So the area of this circle is 153.86. Now, the directions do tell me to round to the nearest tenth. So 8 is in the tenths place, so I want to see about rounding up. 6 is 5 or greater. It is greater than 5, so I'm going to round up, make this 153.9, and I'm measuring in inches, so this would be square inches, or inches squared per area. All right, in example 2, again, it's the same formula, pi times the radius squared, so pi is 3.14. The radius, this time they've given me the diameter, so I need to make sure I'm using the radius, which would be half of 8, which is 4. I'm going to do times 4 squared. 4 squared really means 4 times 4, so that would be 16. That's what I need to multiply, 3.14 times 16. 4 times 6 is 24. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. Start with a 0. 1 times 4, 1 times 1, 1 times 3. 4, 12, 10, 5. 2 decimal places here, so 2 here. So the area ends up being 50.24. It says to round in the nearest tenth, so 2 is in my tenths place. 4 is not enough to round up, so I'm just going to keep it 52 or 50.2. I'm measuring in meters, so this is going to be in square meters. All right, in the next example, I'm going to start with pi being 3.14. The radius I can see is 12. So I need to square 12, which means 12 times 12, which is 144. So I'm going to be multiplying 3.14 times 144. Now, you can also use 22 over 7 for pi. It's another way to estimate pi, but most people prefer to work with a decimal, so that's why I'm going to do that. In my examples, I'm going to use the decimal, but the fraction would work if you want to give it a try. 4 times 4 is 16, carry your 1. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. 4 times 3 is 12. Start with a 0. 4 times 4 is 16, carry your 1. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. 4 times 3 is 12. Start with 2 zeros, 1 times 4, 1 times 1, 1 times 3. When I add these up, I get 6, 11, carry your 1. 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and then 1 plus 3 is 4. I have 2 decimal places here, so I need 2 here. The area is going to be 452.16, but I'm rounding to the nearest tenth again, so 1 is in my tenths place. The 6 is 5 or greater, so that is going to add 1 to the 1, so 452.2, and this is in feet this time, so square feet. All right, the last 2 examples, you're still going to find the area of the circle, but you can see that the shaded part is not the whole circle. So I only want to find the area of the shaded part. So really what I'm finding is just half of the circle here, okay, because only half of it is shaded. So I can use the same formula, except at the end, I want to just take half of it. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. Half of the circle, or half of the area formula, would be half of pi r squared. All right, so in this one, I'm going to do 1/2. Pi is 3.14. The radius is already marked for me, so 6.1. I need to square that. Now, this problem has a lot of things to multiply, so I would suggest giving yourself lots of room. You need scratch paper, go ahead and grab that too. So I'm going to start by squaring 6.1. So first I need to multiply 6.1 times 6.1. So 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 6 is 6. Start with a 0. 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 6 is 36. Add them up. 1, 12, carry your 1, 7, and 3. There's 2 decimal places here, so 2 decimal places here. 37.21. So that's the squaring part. I still need to multiply it by 3.14. I probably should have written that differently. How about 37.21 times 3.14. All right, so start with the 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 7 is 28. Carry your 2. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2 is 14. Start your second row with a 0. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 3 is 3. All right, start the third row with 2 zeros. So 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 7 is 21. Carry your 2. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 2 is 11. Add these up. I get 4, 9, 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13, carry your 1. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 7 is 12, plus 6 is 18, carry your 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And I'm going to bring down the 2 ones. All right, and then again, you want to make sure you're looking for your decimal places here. So I have a total of 4 decimal places. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to make sure I move over 4 places. So this is going to give me 116.8394. All right, but I'm not done. I've multiplied by 3.14, but I still have not taken half of that. So now I need to take this number and divide it by 2. So 2 do 116.8394. Right, small. 2 will go into 11 5 times. Subtract 10, you get 1, bring down the 6. 2 will go into 16 8 times. Subtract 16, bring up your decimal, bring down your 8. 2 will go into 8 4 times. Subtract 8, bring down the 3. 2 will go into 3 1 time. Subtract 2, and you get 1, bring down the 9. 2 will go into 19 9 times. 2 times 9 is 18. When I subtract, I get 1, and I'm going to bring down the 4. So you'll go into 14 7 times. All right, so I get this really long number, 58.4197, which is my area, 58.4197. All right, then I'm rounding to the nearest tenth again. So if I look at the tenths place, this is 4. If I look at the number in the hundredths place, that's not enough to round up. So this ends up being 58.4, and this would be in square meters. All right, I promise they're not all that long. All right, last problem. This one, again, you're going to use your area formula for a circle, but you're only finding part of the circle. You're just finding the shaded part. So hopefully you can tell that this is just 1/4 of the entire circle. So when you apply the area formula, you're not going to use the whole thing. You want to only do 1/4 of it. All right, so whatever you get, you're going to end up dividing by 4. So 1/4 of pi r squared is called a quarter circle. All right, so 1/4. Pi is 3.14. The radius they've given me is 4, so I'm going to square it. 4 squared means 4 times 4, which is 16. So I need to multiply 3.14 times 16. 4 times 6 is 24. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 3 times 6 is 18. Start with a 0. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1, 1 times 3. Add these up, I get 4, 12, carry your 1, 10, carry your 1. And then I have 2 decimal places here, so 2 here would be 50.24. All right, that's this part right here. I still have to do what? Divide it by 4. Take 1/4 of it, just means divide it by 4. I'm going to divide 4 into 50.24, and I'm running out of room, so I'm going to use some paper here. So 4 will go into 5 once. When I subtract, I get 1. Bring down the 0. 4 will go into 10 2 times. That's 8. When I subtract, I get 2. Bring down the 2. Bring up your decimal. So 4 will go into 22 5 times. I'm going to subtract 20. Get 2. Bring down the 4. 4 will go into 24 6 times. All right, so the area of the quarter circle is 12.56, but again, I'm rounding to the nearest tenth. So since 6 is greater than 5, this is going to round the 5 up to a 6, so 12.6, and then I'm going to use square meters. So my area is 12.6 meters squared, or square meters. All right, so the area formula for a circle, pi times the radius squared, right? So make sure you're using radius when you use this formula and that you don't forget to square it, all right? Which means radius times radius. In fact, you can write that down if you want. Pi times the radius is what r squared means, not 2 times the radius. All right, so good luck with the area of a circle, guys.